Carrying on with the new version of my program, this was an arm day, or at least another upper body session that I decided to devote mostly to the joints of the arm. I like to think about working the joints as opposed to just the muscles, because around the joints there are a bunch of muscles. So if I have longevity and health in mind with basic goals that I want to achieve, or at least maintain, I think that thinking about joints makes it a bit easier in my head, and it's a bit different than the usual approach that I see around. Yeah, it's important to develop the muscles, but in the end, we all get older, and it's good to have the joints in mind, and not just the muscles. It's just another way of seeing things. I'm just trying to be different. Anyways, the exercises were all organized in a giant set fashion, which is what I like, especially when I'm doing stuff that is not very demanding in terms of intensity, when I'm not really moving a lot of weight. So I was starting off with the shoulders and doing low raises with 7 kilos in each hand. Over the last month or so, my idea is to try and stay with 7 kilos up until I'm able to do 15 repetitions on the low raises, and then I will be increasing the weight to 8 kilos. And when I'm thinking about the way that I am programming this arm day of sorts, I think that probably a hypertrophy mindset, it kind of works, because what I'm doing is I have 2 upper days where I'm doing more compound oriented movements, and then I have 2 lower days in between where I'm trying to slowly increase the intensity and the kind of exercises that I'm doing, so long as the rehab proceeds in smoothly. So on this day here, I'm going to do something that is a bit higher in volume and more tailored towards the classic concept of hypertrophy, of the main thing that bodybuilders would do. It's not that this is the way that I favor training, but I think that it's a good thing. I had issues in the past with the shoulder, and so if I can get some extra mass on there, it's going to be good. And part of it is also because of my wrist, my right wrist. I broke it in the past. I don't think it ever fully healed, and I do feel some discomfort sometimes when I'm doing handstands. So what I was also doing after the low raises was the usual exercises that I'm doing for the wrists. So the curls and the reverse curls in basically the usual way that I'm doing them, supersetting them. These 16 kilos were a bit too heavy. I started feeling that 16 kilos were probably putting too much strain on the normal curls, and over time I decided to drop the weight down a little bit and try to go for a bit higher repetitions. Sometimes the gym was a bit busy, so I didn't want to lose time, and I was getting maybe a weight that was a bit heavier than I would have liked. But the idea would be to just be on the safe side, especially since the whole concept of doing this is to try and prevent injury in the long run and not cause them, right? So I need to be careful about that also. The other stuff that I was doing was tailored towards the elbow. So I was doing the exercises in an antagonistic fashion, starting off with the tricep extensions, and then I was doing bicep curls. In between, I was also getting in the usual glute rehab, and the exercise is always the same. I feel like this is the way to go. It's at least this is what I'm trying to explain from this session. It was almost a month ago, so I don't exactly remember that, but I'm sure that this is what I wanted to do. Bicep curls, 16 kilos. It's probably the heaviest exercise of the day, and it ends up being at the end of the superset. I just feel like sometimes it is good to have some heavy finisher, especially since this was just a giant set that I did twice. So it felt good. It was a good session, and I will be keeping this in. Ciao.